There are now two more teams who are interested in Teoscar Hernandez as the days continue, and the Dodgers have still not re-signed the star outfielder from the 2024 season. Everybody's wondering what's going to happen next. Also, we get into the latest with Walker Buehler. An insider kind of gave an interesting report, an interesting story on what the Dodgers have been doing with Walker Buehler and maybe what it means for the future. We're getting into all that in this edition of Dodgers Digest. Hey, this is Mike Nelson. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. I want to thank the 21% of the ones who are watching these videos who have already hit the sub button, but 78% of you have not subscribed yet. Myself, Brad J, we're bringing you everyday Dodger content. You don't want to miss out. We're the best Dodger channel out there. You're not going to get content like this anywhere else, so make sure to hit the sub button. Let's get right into it. Of course, this is from this morning. The Dodgers and Red Sox, of course, we know have been the two favorites, you would say, for Teoscar Hernandez. Of course, the Dodgers favorites, but the Red Sox have been mentioned again and again as a team that is interested in Hernandez. As we know, they are actively pursuing Juan Soto, but things haven't gone too well in that front. So they are one of those teams that are aggressively pursuing Hernandez. But now we have two more teams who have jumped on the bandwagon here. We're talking about the Yankees, who are also looking at the free agent slugger. This is, of course, according to MassLive.com's Chris Cotillo. The three suitors all have serious interest in Hernandez's services, with, of course, one noteworthy caveat. All three clubs are also trying to get Juan Soto. So Hernandez is seen as a natural backup plan if, they can't sign Soto. But it just shows you how, the interest is growing for Teoscar, and I'm sure that price is probably going up as well, because I'm not sure the Dodgers realize, I don't know what you guys think. Comment below. Do you think the Dodgers realized how much interest there would be in Teoscar Hernandez going into this free agency, period? Did they see this coming? Did they see all these teams, jumping on, trying to potentially convince Teoscar to leave a World Series championship team, right? Because the Dodgers just won the World Series, and it's definitely a tall task, a tough order to try to ask a player to leave a team like that, right? Because it's not like the Dodgers are, a team that's like struggling, that can't make the playoffs. I mean, any player would want to leave that kind of team. The Dodgers are the best team in baseball at this time, and they just won the World Series, right? They're the best team on paper. They're the best team in terms of accomplishments. Why would you want to leave that situation? Well, it seems like teams are trying to, get Hernandez out of LA so he doesn't wear Dodger blue. And now there's another team as well, which I kind of talked about, but now we actually kind of have a concrete report. The Blue Jays also have interest in Hernandez. Of course, this is their backup target. Soto isn't signed, according to Mark Feinsand of MLB.com. This is also a kind of a story as well, because I think Teoscar Hernandez is a player that could potentially be a Blue Jay, right? Because he already played there before. He's said before that Toronto is definitely a special place for him. It's always going to be a place in his heart. I kind of see the Blue Jays more as a threat than, say, the Yankees, or even the Red Sox. Why would he want to go to New York or Boston? I think the Blue Jays, if they can give him a good offer, especially if the Blue Jays don't get Soto, which I don't think they are going to get Soto, they could, prepare a pretty good offer for Teoscar Hernandez. And now the question is going to be if Hernandez is going to take it. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that Teoscar and the Dodgers is still kind of murky? Is it still not really there? We've had, a pretty good report last week that they're working a deal out. Deal's going to be finalized. We haven't really got much since then from anybody, really, on that front. There hasn't been any other sources who have come on and said that, that this deal is finalized in any way, or that it's happening. There hasn't been much. Instead, we've been getting sources talking about how there's, more teams interested in Teoscar Hernandez, which is a bit concerning if you want to see Hernandez wearing a Dodger blue in 2025, right? Because, I think it all kind of comes down to the Juan Soto decision, right? His decision is going to kind of, push teams in a certain way. His decision has not come yet. There were sources saying a couple days ago that it was going to come in the next few days, right? There were some pretty good sources saying that the Soto decision was coming potentially this weekend. It's already Sunday. At least at this time when this video is being recorded, there has not been a decision made. And, that could change right away. It could change tonight, right? We could get a decision tonight. It could come tomorrow. And then once that decision comes, which, of course, we know the Dodgers are still in there, right? They have not, they gave a competitive offer to Soto as well. So they're still in the running. Maybe not favorites. We know the Yankees and the Mets especially seem like those two are the teams that are kind of at the forefront of trying to get Soto. They've had some good meetings, multiple meetings, it seems like, with Scott Boras and Soto talking about potentially getting that player on their team. He clearly is the biggest commodity in the free agent market. He's going to get the most money. Maybe he'll even get more money than Shohei Ohtani, which would be absolutely incredible. I don't think it's going to be deferred, though. I think he's going to want to get his money, starting next year. So I don't think we'll get much deferred money with Soto. And that's something I think the Dodgers are also thinking about as well, right? Because if they decide to sign him, it's going to be definitely a big hit on the cap, on the luxury tax if they sign him, because I don't think they'll be able to defer a lot of money with Soto. I think he's going to want that money as soon as possible, and that's the big difference, of course, with Ohtani. Still all up in the air for sure, and we'll see what happens. Now let's get into the next story with Walker Buehler. So Ken Rosenthal wrote a pretty interesting article for The Athletic talking about how, they could have easily signed Walker Buehler, right? The Dodgers could have easily signed him. What's the holdup? The qualifying offer would have damaged Buehler in the market, leaving him with almost no choice to accept. Of course, the Dodgers, who played the luxury tax, would have received a pick only if he would have rejected the offer. Now, the Dodgers, decided not to give him that qualifying offer, kind of letting him, probably as a favor to him to not, hurt his value as a player. But as Bob Nightingale told Dodgers Nation in an interview, he thinks that there's no room for Walker Buehler. He says this, of course, here at the end of his statement. Pitched, came out in the ninth inning of Game 5, particularly a free agent coming off surgery, everything else. Great team player, but I doubt it now. It's like, where does he actually fit? You already have 7 or 8 starters. You have, Roki Sasaki. There's no room for him or Flaherty. So this is obviously, pretty interesting to say the least. We've kind of, this is a recent interview from Nightingale. There's no room for Buehler. Ken Rosenthal saying the Dodgers could have easily signed Walker Buehler. Is Buehler basically out of L.A., right? I mean, is he basically out of L.A. and it's just a matter of time before he signs with, potentially the Yankees? We know there's mutual interest of him going, he wants to go to New York, and the Yankees want him. Is it just a matter of time before we see Walker Buehler leave the Dodgers, a player that, of course, has spent his entire career here in L.A.? Is it over? I personally think it is. I think the Dodgers, signing Blake Snell, that's a big one. And then, Sasaki, we're expecting that to happen soon. There's just not really much space for Walker. And, the injuries concern is very, evident, obviously. There's concerns about the long-term health of Walker Buehler with his arm after having, surgery and missing almost 2 years. So there's definitely concerns. And then Jack Flaherty, as we know, there hasn't been any really reports saying that the Dodgers are even actively pursuing Flaherty. So I think those 2 players are definitely gone, and, wish them the best of luck, and we'll see what happens, of course, on their new teams. As always, make sure to subscribe, and let's go Dodgers. Woo!